So, who has the best fight of Mortal Kombat? Is it Scorpion versus Sub-Zero, Cole Haan versus Goro, or Sonya Blade versus, I don't want to spoil it for you, but let's talk about it. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. Hey, what's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Just My Opinion for my movie review for Mortal Kombat. And if this is your first time finding me and you happen to like the video, please give me that thumbs up and consider subscribing. So this film, Mortal Kombat, is being directed by Mr. Simon McQuoid. If you look at his filmography on IMDb, you will see that he's not that experienced, but okay, hey, you know, everybody has to start somewhere, but he's never produced anything, never written anything or directed anything prior to this, other than this short film, The Nighttime Economy, which I haven't seen. So when this project was first announced, it did give me some pause. I was quite skeptical, but like, wow, how can y'all take such a beloved franchise like this and hand it over to someone that does not have any experience? This just kind of made me feel weird a little bit. However, this is being produced by James Wan, who did Saw, who did The Conjuring, and also did Aquaman over at Warner Brothers, and also is working on Aquaman 2. So that did give me some hope. But as far as my expectations is concerned, I went into this thing with my expectations through the roof, even with me trying to tailor them and bring them down. I mean, I love Mortal Kombat. I love all types of martial arts. You've probably heard me say that before. And, you know, I mean, I played the game. I love the game like everybody else. I love the first Mortal Kombat movie, hated Annihilation. Really did enjoy those not computer animated, but it was released online like in 2010, 2011, Mortal Kombat Legacy. And I love the Scorpion Revenge movie that came out last year in 2020, the animated feature as well. That was dope as hell. And so I was just going into this wanting some nice beat ass R-rated fatalities and signature moves. And for the most part, I don't want to spoil it for you. I'll talk about that in a second. But before we get into the nitty gritty, let me tell you what this thing is all about. MMA fighter Cole Young, accustomed to taking a beating for money, is unaware of his heritage or why Outworld's Emperor Shang Tsung has sent his best warrior, Sub-Zero, an otherworldly cryomancer, to hunt Cole down. Fearing for his family's safety, Cole goes in search of Sonia Blade at the direction of Jax, a special forces major who bears the same strange dragon marking Cole was born with. Soon he finds himself at the temple of Lord Raiden, an elder god and the protector of Earthrealm, who grants sanctuary to those who bear the mark. Here Cole trains with experienced warriors Liu Kang, Kung Lao, and rogue mercenary Kano as he prepares to stand with Earth's greatest champions against the enemies of Outworld in a high-stakes battle for the universe. But will Cole be pushed hard enough to unlock his arcana, the immense power from within his soul, in time to save not? We'll just have to see. So guys, I'm not going to waste any of your time. I'm just going to go ahead and say that I really did enjoy this film. As far as my expectations are concerned, they were met. As far as like the action and the costumes and the powers and all that good stuff, my expectations were met. When the credits hit for this movie, I was left smiling, wanting more, just saying to myself, my goodness gracious, I cannot wait until we get sequels for this Mortal Kombat movie. They can do a ton of sequels if they do it correctly. And again, I'll say it, I cannot wait for more. So the first thing that I loved about this film was the characters and the characters' design. I liked the casting. I liked the way they looked. I liked the costumes. I like just the whole aesthetic and how they brought that to life, especially when it comes to Scorpion and Sub-Zero, especially at the very beginning of this film. I love the way it opened with the first 7 minutes or so that they did release online. I did not check it out when it was released. I wanted to watch it all at one time when I saw the movie. And I think for my enjoyment, that was a better experience for me. But the way this opened up with Scorpion and Sub-Zero going at it back into the 1600s, I thought that was stellar. I love the set design. It looked real. Like I said before, I love the costumes and I love the cinematography. The picture looked great. There was so many nice, bright, vibrant colors that brought this scene to life. And it really did set the tone of what we will get as an audience member, casual or diehard Mortal Kombat fans. And I just think they knocked that opening scene out the park. I love this rivalry that they had going in between those characters, and also the soundtrack and score that complemented the fight scenes. That opening fight scene with Scorpion versus the Lin Kuei Sub-Zero army and Sub-Zero and Scorpion itself, I have to go ahead and say 2 thumbs up right there. It was nice, it was tight and well choreographed. You can just tell that these 2 actors, these 2 performers, have a ton of experience when it comes to action, fighting, and choreography, because it does show very well in these opening minutes right here. So that's just a great way to start the film and get me on board. Another thing I liked about this is just the story that it told. Now, going into this, you may think that this has to do with the tournament of Mortal Kombat, and it does to a degree, but there is no tournament in this movie, just to set your expectations in the right place. All the events in this film take place right before the tournament, and that's not a bad thing. I actually like the way they did that, because it just kind of gives you more development of the characters, the world that they're in, and to set that up. If we were to get the tournament, I think that they would have tried to shove too much in one movie the way that this played out. But the way they executed it here, I thought it was a great idea. And again, when it ends, that just kind of makes you want more and more and more while still leaving you satisfied. I mean, I didn't end this movie just saying to myself, damn, I wish I could have saw this. I wish I could have saw that. Clearly they're saving it for the sequel, but I wish they would have put it here. No, this chapter in itself is full. It has a first, second, and third act, a beginning, middle, and end. And I thought they did a great job is there as well, giving you what you want, but also leaving you wanting more. Something else that I really did enjoy about this movie is the way they explain the powers and those abilities and each character's individual signature moves. If you are a fan of the video game, which I'm sure you are, you're going to be happy, you're going to be giddy, bouncing up and down in your seat with excitement, saying to yourself, wow, I can't believe they did that. They executed that with perfect precision. That was beautiful. They took that right out of the video game. At least that's what the experience was for me, and I absolutely loved it. The way they show Scorpion using his kunai blade, so Sub-Zero using his ice, or Cabal teleporting here and there, or Kung Lao using his hat, throwing it and it coming back like a boomerang. I mean, it was done very, very well, especially with the budget that they had on this film for about $50 million. I love that. They explained it as easy as a red light means stop and a green light means go at a traffic stop. I mean, it was just that easy to understand. And as soon as they explained it, you're like, hey, I'm here for it. I am on board. Let me get some more of this Mortal Kombat lore. And when it comes to the villains, I really did like Shang Tsung as a villain. He doesn't waste any time. You know, he has his nefarious reasons and for wanting to do things, but I respect him to a degree. I was saying to myself, okay, this right here is a villain that does not waste any time. He's trying to accomplish a goal and get things done. And if I was in his shoes, I would probably go about things the right way. And so I just say that to say, because sometimes I get annoyed when just people are wasting time if they're trying to accomplish something and they're just like, okay, you know, I can do that tomorrow. I can do that next week. No, Shang Tsung, as soon as he sees an opportunity to advance, he is going to take advantage of that. And I just like the way they use that to progress the story forward and also to develop his character. As far as the design goes for all of the individual characters as well, I liked them all for the most part. To be honest with you, I'm not that impressed with Goro. I'm not going to say he was horrible, but I just expected more, you know, from the Prince of Outworld, this big giant with 4 arms. I expected to see a ton from his character, and I did not see that much. And to be frank, it did leave me a bit disappointed. But let's also talk about Sonia Blade being played by Jessica McNamee. She did a great job too, and she had a wonderful physical presence. I wasn't too sure watching the trailers, and she wasn't one of my favorite characters growing up from the old movie, the old franchise, or the video game, but she did her thing. She did justice here. And, you know, she can fight as well. I mean, you see a brief little tangle that she had with Kano in the trailers, and the way they depicted that in this film and showed just so much more of her character, I have a lot of respect for her character. She was a strong presence on screen, and she pulled her weight and did what she had to do. As far as Jax is concerned, by Mehcad Brooks, I'm a big fan of his as well, and I liked him in this movie too. He was able to fight very well. I loved everything about him. The acting could have been better, but I kind of knew that it wouldn't be the best going into this movie. However, one gripe that I have to say about his character is I'm not too thrilled with the way they developed his arms. I like the way it ended. I like the way he used it and fought and, used it, to pull off his fatalities. But the way he got his arms, I wasn't really feeling that. I mean, I love what you saw in the trailers of Sub-Zero freezing and breaking his arms. That was cool. But from that point on until he actually got, his full strength, his full arms, I don't know what they was thinking right there. They could have fleshed it out a bit more, and that kind of did leave me disappointed as well. I mean, his character was great at the very beginning of the film and all the way up and through the half. And I mean, I liked everything about him. It's just the arm thing just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Malina was cool. There was a lot of complaints about her and how she was being shown in the trailer, with diehard fans being disappointed. And I don't want to spoil anything here if you don't know those users' complaints, but they won't be disappointed. I'll just go ahead and say that. But Malina was cool. Jax was cool. Kung Lao was dope as hell. I really liked him, and I liked everything that had to do with Liu Kang as well. They had a great presence. I love the martial arts. I love the fatalities. I love the fighting. You can kind of tell that, these two characters, these two actors, performers, they have been physical in a lot of, well, maybe not a lot, but they sold it here as far as their physicality is concerned, just with their basic moves and signature moves too. So overall, like, I'm loving the very intro of this film. I'm loving the characters for the most part, the powers and all the fighting, and the way that the story progressed as well. And also just the way things are unraveling, because I thought we were going to get a tournament, but that's not what we get here. We get everything that comes before that, and I'm loving all of it. And also the film is funny too. There aren't too many jokes, but when it comes to the character Cabal, which is not a favorite of mine, I like what they did with him. He's a character that you can't really take seriously. I'm laughing every time he spoke. I don't know why they chose to go that direction. It was a risk, and it may turn some people off, but it didn't turn me off. I did enjoy his presence. It's something that I've never seen before, but I liked it. Now, another thing that I just have to give credit to this film is, if you played the game and you beat somebody and they say finish him, and the character is like knocked out or in a trance going like this right here, giving you a chance to go up, down, left, right, BA, or whatever to pull off the fatality. They actually did that in the movie, but it makes sense, because you may say to yourself, okay, in a real fight, in a practical sense, is somebody going to be knocked out and be going all like this in a circle right here, giving their enemy a chance to do a fatality? No, they're not going to do that. They're probably going to pass out dead or come to. But the way they did it in this movie, I'm like, damn, that was quite clever. They are really adapting this video game to the highest levels, and I can't do anything but respect that. Now, as far as everything else, as far as the whole film goes, you can kind of tell that the director was limited in his budget, but that's just not a knock. But I was kind of saying to myself, okay, I wonder, how this scene would have played out with the more experienced director, or if the production had more money under its budget. $50 million is a lot of money, but now we're seeing all these $100 million, $200 million plus films. I'm not saying that they had to spend $200 million on this film, but I can tell that there were points in this to where the budget was limited. As far as the fatalities are concerned, that was dope as hell. This is a hard R. There is blood all over the place when there is blood. From beginning to end, it's not just heads flying off, but when they do fly off, they really do fly off. The biggest gripe that I have within this movie is the acting. That is one of the things that the first film in 1995 is superior to this film, is the acting. As far as the outer world people like Shang Tsung, Sub-Zero, Malina, and a few other characters that I don't want to spoil right here, the acting is fine. But when it comes to the heroes on Earth, when it has to do with Raiden and Raiden, Kung Lao, Kano, Sonia Blade, Cole Young, the acting is just not good. It's fair. It's barely passable. But I have to be honest with you. Lewis Tan, who plays Cole Young, his acting was absolutely awful. It was horrible. It's on the level. It was worse than the original Power Rangers that came out in the 90s, like 93, 94. Like, yeah, guys, we got to do it. It's like that bad. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like what are y'all doing here? Clearly y'all didn't spend any of that $50 million on the cast to get people that can act quite well. But Cole, I mean, for him to be one of the main characters in this movie, one of the main protagonists, it's really disappointing that they could not have picked someone better that could pull off these action shots, because it just wasn't good. Now, I was not going into this movie checking for the action, not the acting, wanting it to be top stellar, you know, Oscar worthy or anything like that. No, I wasn't expecting it at all. But I at least wanted it to be to some standard of Hollywood that's respectable. And when it comes to Cole Young, I just really wasn't feeling that at all. And I also just have to speak on Raiden as well. I love the way they showed his powers. They depicted his abilities. When he shot out lightning and was teleporting here and there and back and forth, that was dope as hell. I loved it. I did not love the acting, but I did love his display of powers. And so my biggest complaint in this movie is the acting. That is my biggest complaint. The first movie beats this film in the acting by far. My second gripe is just the way they depicted Mehcad Brooks' arms. I like the way it looked, and I like the way he ended up using them, but the way he got there, I really wasn't feeling that, and I was a bit disappointed, you know, with the depiction of Goro. I wanted a bit more. It wasn't weak. I just wanted more from him. I mean, this is a big ass creature, and y'all should have just gave us more. But everything else with the powers, the fighting, and the cinematography, and the signature moves, and the fatalities, and the story, and the outer world villains, and all of that stuff, that was great. I really did enjoy that. Other than that, I really don't have anything else to complain about. But overall, guys, it's a great film. It's a fun film. I mean, overall, I think I did enjoy it more than the original movie. It's just that acting is something that just really sets this back. And I can't wait for more sequels. I'm really glad that they did not put Johnny Cage into this movie, because I think it would have been too difficult to have all these characters that you're trying to develop and get to know. And I think it's set up perfect for other characters that we know are in the Mortal Kombat lore that hasn't shown up yet. And so I'm very, very excited about it. I most likely will do a spoiler review for this as well when I get into the nitty gritty and I see this film again. I've only seen it once at the time of this recording. And of course, I'll go into more depth. As far as me rating this film out of a 1 out of 10, that's going to be very difficult for me. I'll give my rating at the very end of this video. But for now, guys, I just want to let you know that that is just my opinion. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Please click right here for any of the past videos that I have put up on my channel and show support. So if I had to rate Mortal Kombat out of a 1 out of 10, I may raise it, but I want to be safe. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10, a 7.5 out of 10. It was great. But guys, again, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that my name is Brandon Keith Avery, and that's just my opinion. Peace.